For 200 years, humanity chose peace. They explored the stars, shared technology, and helped rebuild broken worlds. But while humans offered friendship, the galaxy offered mockery. Too many alien species, Earth was soft, weak, to patient. Too forgiving, the others laughed at humans behind their backs, and sometimes to their faces. Inside the massive Galactic Council chamber, lights shimmered across the glass ceiling. Representatives from over 80 civilizations sat in curved rows, speaking in different languages, arguing as usual. But today, Earth had sent someone new. Ambassador Cole stood alone at the center platform, tall, quiet, dressed in a dark gray suit. No armor, no weapons. Just calm eyes. One alien leader leaned toward another and whispered, "Is that it?" One man, the other, chuckled. Maybe they finally gave up. Cole remained silent. He placed a small black cube on the table in front of him. The entire chamber paused. Cameras zoomed in. Lights focused. "What is that?" A high-ranking official sneered. Cole finally spoke. "This cube holds Earth's final message." His voice was calm, firm, no anger, no fear. The laughter began. Some delegates covered their mouths to hide their smiles. Others didn't bother. "Final message? Are you surrendering?" one asked loudly. "You've always been cowards," said another. "Full of talk and peace and begging. Now you send a toy." Cole didn't answer. He pressed a single button. On the cube, the lights in the chamber dimmed for 3 seconds. Then nothing. Everyone waited for something to happen. An explosion, a speech, a projection. But nothing came. Silence. A few moments later, the lights returned to normal. "Well," grumbled a reptilian warlord, "that was disappointing." "What a joke," yelled a tall insectoid leader. "Is this all Earth has left?" Cole calmly picked up the cube. He looked around the room. "You all had your chance," he said softly. "You won't get another." Then he turned and walked out. No one stopped him. Why would they? He was just a human. But the silence he left behind lingered long after the doors closed. 3 days later, Earth cut all communication. No signals, no trade, no response. Galactic news stations joked about it. "Earth throws tantrum," one headline. Read, "Humans finally go silent." Galaxy celebrates. But not everyone laughed. Some traders noticed their routes through human systems went quiet. Too quiet, ships stopped returning. No debris, no distress calls, just gone. The Zarkothi sent a patrol to investigate. Captain Ralvin stood on the bridge of his warship, staring at the dark side of an uncharted moon near human territory. No signals, no defense stations, his officer reported. Ralvin nodded. "Send the drones." Small probes flew toward the moon. They scanned for heat, movement, life. One probe found something, a structure huge, metallic, hidden beneath layers of moon dust, sir. The officer said, "That wasn't there a year ago." Ralvin narrowed his eyes. "Prepare the landing." Team 12 soldiers landed on the moon. They found the entrance open, no resistance. The structure looked like a human base, but different, sharper, colder. Inside, it was empty. Long metal halls, black walls, no lights, no sounds. Then one of the soldiers screamed. The others rushed to him. He pointed at a wall. A shadow had moved fast, like smoke in water. "We're not alone," he said, shaking. They continued deeper. They reached a central chamber. In the middle stood a black cube, larger than the ambassador's, but the same design. One soldier stepped forward to scan it. As he touched the cube, the doors behind them slammed shut. A voice filled the room. "You were warned," it said. The walls lit up with holograms of destroyed ships, planets burning, and alien screams. "Earth does not seek war," the voice continued. "But we no longer fear it." The soldiers ran for the exit. Only one made it out. His escape pod was found drifting in space 2 days later. He was alive but silent, his eyes wide with terror. He spoke only once, repeating the same words over and over. "They're not human anymore." Back at the council, panic began to spread. "They're bluffing," some leaders insisted. "Humans can't build anything like that." But others weren't so sure. A week later, a trade convoy vanished near the Orion Gate. 5 ships, no distress call. No survivors. Another fleet was sent to search. They vanished too. The council demanded answers. They got a message, not a video, not a voice, just a text signal. This is not revenge. This is correction. Earth is closed. A respected historian read it aloud. What does that mean? The ambassador of the Graxar Alliance stood up. It means they've had enough. The room fell silent. For the first time in decades, the council was afraid. That night, in a quiet room aboard a station orbiting Zern Prime, 3 alien leaders met in secret. They've gone too far, one said. We need to destroy them before they destroy us. They've already disappeared fleets. They're hiding something, said another. We must strike first. But we provoked them, the third said. Maybe they just want to be left alone. No, the first snapped. This is war. They made their plan. They would gather every fleet they had over 500 ships from 15 species and launch a surprise attack on Earth. They would strike fast, hard, end it before humanity could react. It was a mistake. 2 days before the fleet was ready to launch, every single screen in the galaxy turned black. Phones, ship controls, station panels, billboards of impersonal devices. Then a message appeared in every language. You planned war, we planned peace. Now you'll see our silence. 1 second later, all 500 ships in the secret attack fleet exploded simultaneously. Not a single human was seen, not a single shot fired. The council chamber was filled with fear. Ambassador Cole returned. He stood at the center once more, the same small black cube in his hand. This time, no one laughed. He looked around slowly. For 200 years, we gave you our trust, he said. You called us weak. You mocked our patience. You mistook silence for surrender. He placed the cube on the table again. This time, it's not a warning, it's a reminder. He turned and walked away once more. No one stopped him. No one said a word. The lights dimmed and stayed dim. And from that day forward, no species dared to test humanity again. After Ambassador Cole left the Galactic Council, the atmosphere shifted. Not immediately, not with fireworks or flames, but like the quiet before a storm deep and heavy. The black cube he had left behind pulsed once, then stopped. It was broken. Others feared touching it. For 3 days, the council did nothing. Leaders whispered, spies were sent. News channels speculated then. On the 4th day, it began. Earth went silent. No broadcasts, no trade routes, no embassy messages, no ships arriving or departing. No signal of any kind. Earth was gone from the network, from diplomacy, from the galaxy's stage. It wasn't just silence. It was rejection, and it shook the galaxy more than war ever could. In the capital city of the Varian Empire, High Commander Ilrex paced in his war room. Are we sure the humans didn't just lose power? He snapped his advisor. A thin, feathered creature named Thal shook his head. All satellites show Earth is still active. Power grid stable, but they've shut down all external systems. On purpose, Ilrex slammed his fist on the table. Why would they do that? Thal paused, then answered, maybe because they're done talking. In the weeks that followed, strange events began to happen. Freight ships passing near human. Systems disappeared, not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. No black boxes, no escape pods, no trace. Alien corporations demanded answers. Scout ships were sent, none returned. An elite Zarkathi destroyer tried to enter Earth's orbit without permission. Its final transmission was a scream, followed by static. The entire ship vanished within 14 seconds of entering human space across the stars. People whispered a name for it, the Dead Silence Zone. On a border moon called Rev 9, 2 smugglers watched the newsfeed flicker. Humans really pulled out. The first asked, chewing on dried meat. The second shrugged. Not just pulled out, they unplugged the galaxy. No one's ever done that before. Are they hiding something? Maybe. Or maybe they're preparing something. The first one snorted, please, humans are cowards. He took another bite. Seconds later, their ship's radar beeped. Unidentified signal, approaching fast. The second smuggler checked the scanner. There's nothing there. The radar kept beeping, then stopped. Outside their window, space shimmered. A large black triangle-shaped object hovered just above the moon's surface. It had no lights, no markings, no visible weapons. The smugglers froze. "What is that?" the first one whispered. The object disappeared, just vanished without sound. Without light, their ship lost power for 5 hours. When it restarted, every piece of equipment was wiped clean. Their memories remained, but no one believed them. Hallucinations, the authorities said. But smugglers in the sector started avoiding the entire region. No one wanted to test. Earth's silence. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council Station, Ambassador Drexel of the Tharn Collective stood in his quarters, staring at Earth's file on his holoscreen. The file had changed, where once there were pages of trade routes, scientific contributions, and human achievements. Now there was only one line of text: status, not available. He sat down, confused and anxious. He whispered, "What are they doing?" Suddenly, his screen flickered. A black cube appeared on it. He jumped back. The cube rotated slowly, then a line of text appeared. "Drexel, we know," he gasped. "No what?" No reply. The cube faded. His door slid open, and 2 guards stepped inside. He simply turned off the screen and whispered, "They're listening." In the Syrinx cluster, a group of militaristic species met in secret. They wanted to push back, destroy the human system. "We can't allow Earth to dictate fear," growled General Croter of the Iron Claw Alliance. "They've embarrassed us," spat another. They planned a show of force, not an attack, but a warning fleet. 100 ships, heavily armed, would fly just outside Earth's territory and demand a response. It was a mistake. 3 days later, the fleet arrived. The admirals sent a message to Earth. "We come not in war, but in warning. Speak now, or be challenged." They waited, no reply. They activated their scanners. Something moved in the void ahead. At first, it looked like static on their screens. Then it took shape of a single human ship, but it wasn't like anything they had ever seen. It had no visible engines, no heat, no movement. It simply hovered, silent, dark, watching. One of the admirals panicked. "Open fire?" Lasers lit the sky, but the ship didn't move. The weapons passed through it and vanished. Then it replied, a short signal. No sound, just a data stream. Every ship received it. It contained footage of each admiral recorded inside their own war rooms, discussing Earth private conversations, confidential files, exact locations of every fleet base, all recorded by someone they never saw. Fear spread like wildfire. Within minutes, all 100 ships retreated. Some commanders resigned. One species withdrew from the Council entirely, the Galaxy. Surrender? It was precision.cold, calculated, final. And now the Council was afraid. They met again, this time without humans. "How do we bring them back?" one delegate asked. "Do we want to?" Another answered, "If they return, it may be worse." "But they were peaceful once," said a third. "They helped us, saved our colonies, protected the weak. And we mocked them," someone else said. "We called them slow, soft, primitive." The room went quiet. Then a message arrived. Not a voice, not a video, a cube, hovering in the center of the room. It pulsed once, then words appeared in every language. "Patience ends when reason fails. You wanted silence, now live with it." The cube blinked twice, then disappeared. A tremor passed through the station, not physical but emotional. That day, across the galaxy, thousands of stories were told in whispers. Stories of ships that vanished, of cities rebuilt into machines, of human eyes that no longer blinked, of something darker behind Earth's silence. Rage, not revenge, calculation, from the ruins of an old outpost on the edge of human space. A probe sent its final image, a planet-sized object floating where no planet had ever existed. Metallic, silent, alive. Uneasily that night, because deep in the void, Earth was no longer answering. It was watching. The silence continued. Worlds far from Earth held their breath. Starports canceled travel near human sectors. News anchors whispered through their broadcasts, as if speaking too loud might bring humanity's wrath, signal the next disappearance. But nothing came. For a while, and claiming their leaders as clients. They'd clashed with humanity once long ago and had never forgotten the humiliation. Now, the humans have withdrawn. They fear war. "We will remind them who controls this galaxy." His generals applauded. He pointed to a map We strike Hirtaran Outpost 7, a small moon used for mining. No defense systems, no known civilian presence, minimal risk, said General Ryvek. High reward. President Voller nodded. We destroy it, leave no trace. And when Earth comes crawling back to talk, we set the terms. The fleet departed in silenced 12 destroyers, 3 battleships, and 1 carrier. As they neared Terran Outpost 7, they found exactly what they expected. Nothing. No beacons, just a cold gray moon floating in space. The fleet's commander, Admiral Crass, ordered a full bombardment. Plasma torpedoes lit the surface. Shockwaves tore open ancient mines and tunnels. For 3 hours, the fleet rained fire down on the moon. Then silence. Mission accomplished. The stars were wrong. Coordinates drifted. Planets shifted. Even the sun itself felt dimmer. Are our sensors damaged? Asked a technician. No, the navigator whispered. This isn't home. Admiral Crass checked the logs. They had traveled correctly, but outside their window was a planet that looked like Dravari. Prime only twisted dot, lifeless dot burned dot. Then the message came through on every channel. In every frequency, a human voice, calm, familiar. It was Ambassador Cole. You destroyed a place you didn't understand. You attacked silence with fire. Now hear this. There will be no more warnings. Suddenly, the stars flickered. Dozens of black triangles appeared human ships. The Dravari fleet never fired a single shot. In 6.7 seconds, all 16 ships were disintegrated. No explosion, no wreckage, just one black triangle hovered. It never moved, never spoke, and yet no one could stop it. Missiles failed to lock, power grids shut down. Tried to flee. As his transport lifted off, the triangle shifted once. The doors locked dot inside. Voller screamed as the lights turned red, then darkness. His ship was found 2 days later, empty. Communication lines burned, with the same question. What do the humans want? But Earth never answered. They didn't demand tribute, didn't offer peace. A young technician named Rin watched the reports with wide eyes. She turned to her supervisor. Is it true? They wiped out the Dravari fleet in seconds? The supervisor nodded, and they didn't even use known weapons. Rin swallowed. What are they now? Machines. No, the supervisor said quietly. They're still human. That's what makes it worse. The council called another emergency meeting. This time, said the Graxar ambassador. But they won't. Speak, replied another. How do we reach them? An old alien diplomat leaned forward. We don't. What do you mean? We stop trying to control them. We stop provoking them. We leave them alone. Some agreed. Others were too proud. But all of them knew the age of mocking humans was over still. Some wouldn't listen. From the far edge of the galaxy, in a hidden fortress orbiting a dead star. Empires before Earth ever reached the stars. He believed in strength. In conquest, he had no respect for fear. Humans think silence makes them gods, he growled. I will break that silence. His army cheered. He revealed a weapon, a gravity core bomb, capable of tearing open a planet's core. We will drop it on Mars. Let them watch their home burn. The fleet launched 3 days later. They never arrived. Instead, every member of Voktan's crew woke up inside different ships. Alone, no controls, no windows, only darkness. Then a single message played in their ears. You planned genocide, so we gave you solitude. None of them were ever seen again. Whispers spread. Humanity? Enemies knew themselves, and that was terrifying. In a forgotten sector of space, Ambassador Cole stood aboard an unseen station. Watching the stars, he turned to the AI beside him called Sol. Are they learning? Sol responded with a soft hum. Some are. Others still believe power means noise. Cole nodded. Then we wait and we watch. Shall we speak again? Sol asked. Cole looked out at the darkness. No, he said. Not yet. He reached into his coat and pulled out a black cube. He set it on the table and whispered, They wanted silence. And across the galaxy, every empire, every world, every ruler slept with one eye open, because no species would ever forget the moment humanity's patience finally snapped, and none of them knew what would happen. If it snapped again, it had been 6 standard months since the Dravari incident. No species dared cross into human space. Trade lanes were rerouted. Explorers erased Earth from their star maps. Embassies removed Terran flags from their walls. Some even denied humans ever joined the Galactic Council. But the fear remained, and so did the silence. Nothing came from Earth. No ships, no messages, no trade. After delivering a message no one wanted to receive, but now, someone was planning something worse. In the cold darkness between stars, aboard a hidden station called Void Arc 6, a secret meeting began. Representatives from the most powerful war-born empires sat around a table of shimmering metal. No names, were given only species and ranks. The lights were dim. His claws clicked on the table. They're watching us like predators, waiting. An old scientist from the Telleri caste spoke next. They've transcended technology. Their weapons defy logic. Their ships move like thought. We can't fight. What we don't understand, a deep voice cut through the room. Then we stop pretending to understand. We bait them, gasps. Even the coldest among them stiffened. Who said that? Shadows, a tall being stepped forward. Armor black as space, face hidden behind a smooth metal mask. No insignia, no introduction. I've studied the humans, he said. Virus once activated, it will send a harmless but highly visible signal straight into Earth's heart. A challenge. The Tellari scientist narrowed her eyes. You want to provoke them again? I want to see them, the masked figure said. I want to know what they truly are. General Threx grinned. And if they respond with fire? The masked figure replied without emotion. Then we burn. And finally, understand what we fear. The cube was launched toward Earth's orbit by an automated drone, hidden inside debris. It didn't explode, didn't hack. It simply blinked. One bright, slow pulse, then it vanished. 12 hours later, every starship in that council. 6 systems lost gravity. Crew members floated helplessly. Controls froze. Artificial lights dimmed. Communications blacked out. Then a voice echoed from their ship. Speakers, mail.com. Human, you have activated curiosity. Prepare to witness understanding. Then nothing. The next day, a new star appeared in the sky above the planet Olindrafor. But it wasn't a star. It moved. A massive black structure impossibly large had materialized in orbit. A perfect sphere, silent and still. Every telescope zoomed in. No doors, no engines, no markings. Just one message burned into its surface. In every known language, for those who demand Antrezenta, only one species dared to try. The Voidfire, a heavily armed research vessel, approached the sphere. Its commander, Kyrell of the Roctal Fleet, activated every sensor. No readings, no heat, no energy field, said his navigator. They didn't open it. It opened on its own. Inside was only darkness. No one spoke. The crew entered slowly. Weapons ready the moment they crossed the threshold. They disappeared from all scanners. 30 minutes passed. Then, a transmission. But it wasn't from the Voidfire. It was from one of Earth's old deep space probes he commissioned. Over 200 years ago. They have questions, the message said. We will answer. What came next shook the council. Not war, not destruction. Information. One by one. Black cubes began appearing in the capitals of every council race. Inside each truth footage of secret war crimes. Stolen technology traced back to hidden labs. Conversations, thought to be private now public. Betrayals, lies, genocides, long covered up. Entire empires began to collapse not from battle, but from the truth humanity delivered. Earth hadn't brought war. Earth brought clarity, and the galaxy wasn't ready for it. Back in the council chambers, chaos exploded. Who gave them this? Shouted the Elorian Prime. How did they get our deepest secrets? Cried the Sultan Minister. No one had answers. Then, a familiar hum filled the chamber. Another black cube, it hovered silently above the center table. Then it spun, pulsing blue. Words formed above it. Your fear was never of our power. It was of our perception. You hid monsters behind curtains. We opened the window. On a distant moon, an old human man sat alone by a fire, Ambassador Cole. He looked up at the stars. A child approached one of the locals. Is it true? The child asked. You're from Earth. Cole smiled faintly. Yes. Are you? The ones ending everything. He looked into the fire. No, we're just showing what's already there. But people are scared. They should be, Cole said quietly, because they lied too long. And now, no lie can survive the silence. The child sat beside him. Will you speak again? Cole took a long breath, then whispered, when they start listening. In the ruins of the Dravari capital, a new cube emerged, but this time it carried something different. Not a threat, not a secret, a recording of music, human music, soft, slow, haunting, a piano playing alone in a room, and, with it, a single line, "We never wanted war." All across the galaxy, the silence began to shift, not into noise, but into understanding, because humanity wasn't just watching, they were teaching, not with lectures, not with speeches, with actions, with absence, with consequence, and slowly. The galaxy began to change, not from fear, but from truth. Yet somewhere deep beyond the edge of known space, something stirred, a forgotten race, one that had vanished long before. Earth discovered space travel. They had watched the humans rise, watched the council mock them, and now they watched them ascend. The being known only as Valeth opened its many eyes and smiled. "So, the silence has begun," it whispered, and in the dark halls of its ancient ship, it lit a beacon, not to warn, but to invite. Because while the galaxy feared what humanity had become, there were older things, and they were listening now. The galaxy was quieter than ever. No attacks, no disappearances, no demands from Earth. Just the quiet drifting of ships across space, every species watching their step, whispering stories about black cubes and planets erased from history. But one station, far from the Council's protection, didn't believe the Fear. Station Omicron Vale was built by the Ulari Combina species obsessed with data, obsessed with answers. They didn't fear humans. They studied them, and now they had a discovery, one that should have stayed buried. "Director Voss, we've picked up a signal," said the lead analyst, her voice trembling. Voss leaned over the console. "From where? It's weak, fragmented. But the coordinates place it just inside the Oort cloud near Old Terran space." Voss narrowed his eyes. "What kind of signal?" "Binary, repeating 17 pulses, followed by static." "Then, again?" Voss's heart sank. 17. That was the number of colonies Earth had lost during the first invasion. The same invasion that made humans silent. "This signal, ... he whispered, "it's from one of the dead worlds." The analyst hesitated. "We think it's from Raveler, the planet no one ever returned from." A research vessel was quickly assembled. Small, fast, quiet. They didn't request permission from the Council. They didn't tell Earth. They simply launched, hoping to be the first to understand something before humanity responded. Raveler had been lifeless for decades, a Terran colony destroyed in a chemical assault during the war. No atmosphere, no life, just sand and ruins. The Ulari crew stepped carefully through the broken remains of buildings, their suits glowing softly in the dark. "We're close," said the mission leader, blinking at her scanner. "Signal is underground." They found the hatch beneath what used to be a school, a sealed metal door, old and rusted, but untouched. They cut it open and climbed down inside. They found something impossible. Humans, alive, 5 of them, sitting around a glowing console. Calm and expressionless, as if they had expected the visitors all along. "You made it," one of them said. The Ulari froze. Who are you?" "We are the memory," the human replied. "We stayed behind too. Make sure someone would come. But this planet was destroyed. You were declared dead." The human tilted his head. "We were, but death has new meaning now." One of the Ulari backed away. "This is a trap." The lights dimmed. The walls began to pulse like a living heartbeat, and then they spoke in unison. Earth did not go silent to hide. Earth went silent to listen. Outside, the Ulari ship's systems died. All power drained in the skies above Raveler. A familiar shadow appeared, a single black triangle hovering, motionless, no weapons deployed, no message sent, just presence. That was all it took. The Council responded within hours. An emergency broadcast, encrypted, private, all leaders. Demanded answers. Are the humans rebuilding Raveler? Did they fake the colony's destruction? Are there more of these memory cells? But there were no answers, not from Earth, not from the Ulari. Because when the Ulari crew was found days later, drifting in escape pods near a trade lane. They had no memory of Ravel AR. No logs, no footage, only a phrase burned into the ship's hull. "You are not ready." Whispers spread fast across marketplaces, backrooms, even in the high halls of noble courts. Everyone asked, "What is humanity planning?" Some believed Earth had evolved into something beyond organic life. Others said they had merged with ancient AI. A few believed Earth was already dead, and what remained were echoes wearing human skin no one could confirm. And that made it worse. On the jungle world of Sorkai, a young alien named Brenny found an old Terran datapad in the wreckage of a forgotten freighter. She activated it. Only one file played a child's voice, reciting Earth history. Simple lessons, gentle tone. Then the recording ended with a question. "What do you do when your family is hurt?" Silence. Then the same child voice answered, "You protect them." Brenny's eyes widened. Was this a warning or a reminder? Meanwhile, on Earth, deep inside a city hidden beneath Antarctica, Ambassador Cole stood before a holographic council. All of them were human, not soldiers, not politicians, just ordinary. People, scientists, teachers, farmers, engineers, each one chosen for one reason. They remembered what it meant to be human before the galaxy mocked them. One council member spoke. They found Raveler Cole, nodded yes. Did they meet the memory? They did, and they left shaken. Another council member leaned forward. "Is it time to return?" Cole looked at the stars. "No," he said, "not yet. Let the silence teach them more. Let them wonder." A third voice asked, "And what if they push again?" Cole didn't blink. "Then we stop wondering." In the deep core of the Andari Nebula, a pirate fleet received a strange transmission. It promised treasure human tech buried in a vault from before the war. They jumped in. Never heard from them again. But a week later, a single escape pod arrived in the nearest spaceport. Inside was one of the pirates, shaking, crying. He had no wounds, no burns, no physical trauma. He kept muttering the same words. "They showed me what I did." Over and over, "They showed me." The council couldn't hide it anymore. This wasn't just about war. It was about knowledge, about reckoning. Humanity wasn't punishing their enemies. They were educating them. But with lessons no one wanted to learn. Back in the hidden chamber beneath Earth, Cole walked a long hallway lined with stasis pods. Each one held a person, some human, some not, all marked as witnesses. He paused at one pod, the newest, a young Yulari scientist. Sleeping peacefully, she would wake eventually. And when she did, she'd remember what the others forgot. Cole pressed his hand against the glass. Raveler was never just a place, he whispered. It was a choice. And out in the stars, another signal pulsed quietly. 18 beats, then silence. Then 19, a new number, a new signal. Something else had awakened. And this time, it wasn't human. Not entirely. The Galactic Council was crumbling. Not from war, from fear, from silence, from the slow, unstoppable unraveling of secrets. Humans had never spoken, but always known. One by one, systems collapsed under the weight of exposed lies. Former enemies turned on each other. Alliances shattered. But Earth remained silent. No invasions, no speeches, no fleets, just black cubes and vanishing ships. And then, for the first time in months, Earth made a move. They sent an invitation. Neutral space. It was short, strange, and unencrypted. 5 words in every known language. You want answers. Come home. No coordinates, no time, just a direction. Earth, it was the last thing anyone expected, Fly from a species. So feared no one dared say their name aloud. But some couldn't resist. The first to respond were the Cathari, a proud species of psychic diplomats. They had once laughed at humanity's primitive emotions. Their ship, the Serene Chime, approached the Sol system cautiously. Scanners found no defense grid, no orbiting fleets, no warning shots, only Earth, quiet and waiting. As they entered orbit, they were greeted by a soft transmission, classical music, a piano, no voice, no demands, just music. They hesitated, then descended. Their vessel landed on a flat, grassy plain where a single human waited, an old man. Wearing a suit, holding an umbrella, he smiled. "Welcome," he said. "I'm Arthur." The Cathari ambassador stepped forward. "Where is your army?" Arthur looked around. "Don't need one. You're not afraid we'll attack." Arthur chuckled softly. "You came here for answers. You're too scared to fire." That was true. The Cathari didn't speak again. They followed Arthur into a glass elevator that descended into the earth. What they saw below was impossible. A city, beautiful, alive, lit not by technology, but by thought. Humans walked beside machines that moved without fuel. Trees grew upside down. Birds of light circled ceilings of stone and steel, but there were no guards, no weapons, just people, living, laughing, creating, double quotes. "Where's the government?" the Cathari asked. Arthur smiled. "We don't need one, not anymore." "Then who makes decisions?" Arthur paused. Everyone. As they explored, more species arrived. The Yurnik, with their heat-borne bodies, the tall six-eyed Krell, even to surviving Dravari, returning in shame, expecting punishment. They were all welcomed, offered food, shown art, given rooms. There were no threats. But there was one rule: you may not lie at first. No one understood. Then the Krell ambassador tried to hide her intentions. The moment she did, the walls of her room turned dark. Her own voice echoed around her, repeating the lie she tried to speak. Her memories projected onto the walls. Her guilt, her betrayal, her secret crimes. She screamed. And then it stopped. The humans never touched her. The truth did, Arthur explained. At dinner, calmly and kindly, we've created a place where honesty is enforced by reality. A city born from the trauma we suffered. A city that cannot be lied to. How the Yurnik ambassador asked, "We didn't create it, we just opened the door." This city is Earth's answer to the galaxy's questions. He raised a glass too. Understanding, the ambassadors stayed for days. Some tried to resist the city's influence. Some tried to fight it. Some broke down in tears as their own memories haunted them. But slowly, change began. Because for the first time, they saw Earth not as a weapon, but as a mirror. And then came the final visitor. Not a diplomat, not a soldier. A child. She arrived in a shuttle, stolen from a broken empire. Barely survived the journey. She was found near the landing field, unconscious. When she awoke, Arthur was already beside her. "You came a long way," he said. She nodded weakly. "I wanted to see if the stories were true." "What stories?" "That humans smile before they strike." Arthur nodded. "We do." The child's eyes widened. "So you are dangerous." "Everyone is dangerous when pushed too far," he said softly. "But not everyone waits this long before they strike." She looked down. Why wait at all? Arthur didn't answer right away. He looked up at the sky, where stars shimmered softly through the dome. Then he said, "Because kindness lasts longer than vengeance, and we wanted to see who noticed." On the seventh day, the guests were called to the center of the city. There, in a wide amphitheater, a screen lit up dot. No voice, no figure, just text. "We are not gods. We are not monsters. We are what you made us, and we chose not to become you." Then the screen faded, and every guest received a simple message. "Leave now if you fear the truth. Stay if you are ready to change." Most left, but a few remained. The child, one Cathari, a silent Dravari, and the Krell, still shaken by what she saw. They walked deeper into the city and vanished, not into death, but into something new. The council received one final signal from Earth that week. No demands, no threats, just coordinates to the city, and one message: your war is over, but your test has just begun. Across the galaxy, reactions were chaotic. Some refused to believe, others sent spies. All who entered the city either returned, changed, or didn't return at all. Some said the city wasn't real, that it was an illusion, a trap. But others whispered something stranger, that the city was listening, that it had learned from humanity what truth meant, that it had chosen to protect it. In a council meeting, one leader asked the question everyone feared: what if Earth becomes the moral compass of the galaxy? No one answered, because in their hearts they already knew it had. And from this point on, no species would ever forget the moment humanity's patience finally snapped. Not because of fire, not because of blood, but because when Earth smiled, the galaxy learned what it had done. and what it could never undo. In the cold dark of space, just beyond the rim of mapped galaxies, there was a zone no ship dared cross. The maps marked it unstable. The Council called it Void Sector Echo 3. But everyone else had a different name for it, the place where Earth listens. No species claimed it, no empire mapped it, yet any ship that entered without permission vanished. That's where the Varix Dominion sent their probe. They were desperate. Their homeworlds were collapsing under rebellion, corruption, and fear. The Varix rulers wanted control. Capture human tech, their emperor ordered. Take it from their silence. They believed humanity would do nothing. They believed wrong. The probe crossed the line into Void Sector Echo-3. At first, nothing happened then. 5 minutes later, the signal changed. It was no longer telemetry. It was a voice, a child's voice. Why did you come here? The Varix scientists stared at their screens. Is this a... But then it said, you sent bombs to our colonies. You erased our names from history. And now you want more. The transmission cut, then the probe, held in place by nothing, while a human stared into his eyes. Not a weapon, not a threat. A lesson burned into the core. The Varix Empire collapsed within weeks. Not because of war, because the people saw that Imogen believed. They had pushed too far, and now Earth remembered. On the edge of Council space, a lone human ship appeared. Not a warship, a garden ship. It floated slowly, full of oxygen greenhouses and small living quarters. A message followed: to those who seek peace, we offer food. The Council argued for days. Some said it was a trap. Others saw an opportunity. Finally, one brave soul accepted the offer. Her name was Senya Tal, an Andari diplomat once known for her hatred of humans. Her species had fought Earth centuries ago, lost everything. She stepped aboard the garden ship expecting deception. What she found was life, tomatoes, rice, medicinal herbs, no traps, just humans peaceful, quiet. Offering meals and stories, an old gardener named Elric approached her here, he said, handing her a ripe fruit. This used to be extinct. We saved the seeds. She blinked. Why are you offering this? Because we remember what hunger feels like, he said, and we know the galaxy has forgotten. Senya stayed longer than planned, and what she learned changed her forever. Each human on the ship had once lost someone in the war. Not soldiers, civilians, farmers, children. And they had come here not to fight, but to grow, to heal, to wait. One evening, she asked Elric why didn't humanity take revenge sooner. He stared at the stars. We did, he said softly, but not with fire. With what then? With silence. Senya didn't understand until she left the ship, back in Council space. She tried to describe what she had seen, but words failed, so she played a recording. It was a song, a lullaby sung by one of the human children aboard the garden ship in the background. The ship's plants shimmered. The lights pulsed like a heartbeat, and for a moment, everyone who listened felt something strange. Guilt. The Council began to divide. Some still believed Earth was a threat. Others believed it was now a mirror one that showed what the galaxy truly was. Then came a new signal, this time from deep space, from a system long believed dead. Ravel R. Again, but it wasn't just a memory this time, it was a pulse, a beacon, and the message was clear. You have seen our silence. Now you will see our memory. The signal was followed by a broadcast. Images from the First War, footage the galaxy had never seen, not human soldiers. Fighting backbutt colonies begging for peace, families burning, children evacuated moments. Before bombardment, cries ignored. Treaties broken, the kind of truth that governments hid, that the Council buried. But Earth never forgot. They didn't scream when it happened. They recorded, and now they released it. Riots broke out across Council worlds. On 9, statues of old war heroes were torn down. On Verdox Prime, students demanded their history books be rewritten. Even on the cold moon of Zaxil, rebels held up signs that said, "We remember." The galaxy was changing, not because Earth forced it, because Earth made them see, and they couldn't unsee it deep beneath Earth's surface. Ambassador Cole watched the transmission play. Behind him, the Memory Council stood in silence. One voice spoke. They're waking up. Cole nodded. Finally, Another voice asked, "Do we reveal the second memory?" "No," Cole said. "Not yet. They've only just begun to understand the cost of their silence." Out in the void, the last ship of the Kravari Syndicate approached Earth. They believed they could take it by force. A final push, a desperate gamble. They crossed into the system and never returned. But their final log was found. It ended with the pilot crying, "They didn't kill us. They showed us what we were, and we begged them to." Earth didn't roar. It didn't conquer. It didn't dominate. It didn't dominate. It simply listened. And that was enough to shake a galaxy built on denial, because the loudest sound was silence, and the most terrifying weapon was memory. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, silence was rare. But today, there were no debates, no shouting, no politics, only a massive screen playing the same. Broadcast over and over again, Ravel, AR, burning, begging, forgotten, the footage Earth had. Released was more than a history lesson. It was a mirror, one that showed the galaxy what it had done to humanity. And what humanity had never forgotten, even worse it, was only labeled Memory 1, that terrified everyone. Ambassador Keelix of the Varn Dominion sat frozen. He had led the vote to suppress the truth about Raveler. He'd even argued it was necessary for galactic peace. Now he stared at the footage of human refugees boarding damaged escape shuttles while enemy fire rained down. No weapons, just children, crying and still, no retaliation. Not then, but now. Earth had remembered, and the galaxy was watching. Panic spread fast. Some governments began burning old records. Others declared Earth's broadcast a psychological weapon. One even tried jamming the signal, but it didn't matter. The memory had already routed itself, not just in minds but in conscience. Meanwhile, on the far edges of Council-controlled space, a strange thing happened. Ships began defecting, entire crews. They didn't seek asylum, they just left. Left their wars, left their factions, and flew toward Earth, one ship. The Kavalan Spark carried nothing but medics. Half of them had once served in raids against human colonies, but they had seen the broadcast. They knew the truth. When they reached Earth's orbit, a signal welcomed them. No interrogations, no threats, only a voice. "You remember, that's enough." Down below, Ambassador Cole stood in a garden lit by starlight. A young Kravari female approached. She had been born long after the war, but her parents had been war hero slaughterers. Really, she held out a small object, a holodisc. "It's my family's war logs, things never released. I want your people to have them." Cole took it. Gently. "You're not afraid we'll use this against you?" She shook her head. "I'm afraid you won't." He smiled sadly. Back in the council, chaos erupted. A proposition was raised: declare Earth a hostile influence on interstellar stability. But another delegate countered, "Then explain why our own people are siding with them." The council splintered again, and Earth said nothing. The next signal came a week later. Memory 2, it began as a view from a human mining colony Colts distant. Then came the attack. Council-backed mercenaries stormed the station. Civilians tried to hide. The footage didn't cut away. It showed everything: executions, children trying to shield their parents, blood freezing on steel floors, and at the end, a single survivor, 6-year-old girl, crawling into a maintenance shaft. Then darkness. That girl, she was now Earth's lead diplomat. Her name was Lyra Voss, and she was about to speak. The Council's emergency broadcast network was hacked not by force, but by permission. The same systems that had blocked Earth's tech welcomed her transmission. Lyra stood in a quiet room. No flags, no armor, just her voice. "I was 6 years old when the Council erased my colony," she said. "I used to believe silence was safer than speaking. But now I speak not for revenge. I speak because the galaxy deserves to remember." She paused and looked into the camera. "If you want peace, you must stop lying about your past." The transmission ended, and, for the first time in known galactic history, a human received a standing ovation from 10 different species across 20 systems. Then came the disappearances, not of people, of files. Entire digital archives went dark across the Council's core planets. Historical records, sealed reports, diplomatic orders vanished overnight. But Earth had them. Every single one. They released them one by one each. Memory was a truth the galaxy wanted to forget. And with each one, humanity didn't grow more violent. They grew more powerful. Not through weapons, but through trust. A movement began. The Remembrance Accord, dozens of species signed it. A declaration that truth, no matter how painful, must be preserved. Its founder, Lyra Voss, its headquarters. Earth. The Council tried to fight back with their own propaganda. They launched a stream of counter-narratives, accused Earth of emotional manipulation called the memory drop's psychological warfare. But it was too late. The galaxy had already changed. People weren't listening to governments anymore. They were listening to humanity in one rebel-controlled moon colony. A mural appeared overnight. It showed a human child in a burning hallway behind her, shadows of alien soldiers in front of her, stars, and across the wall. A single phrase, Earth remembered what we forgot. The next memory was not a broadcast. It was an artifact, a preserved escape pod from the original Raveler. Massacred. Its distress beacon had never been turned off. Earth had kept it active for centuries, transmitting its message into the void. When the pod was shown to the public, it played a simple voice, a child whispering, "We are still here." Back on Earth, Lyra stood beside Ambassador Cole. She looked out over the growing crowds arriving from all corners of the galaxy. "We're not fighting anymore," she said. Cole nodded. Double quotes. "No," he replied. "We're guiding." She looked at him. "What happens when they all finally remember?" He turned to the sky. "Then maybe the galaxy will earn peace." But in the shadows of a shattered empire, someone was watching. Someone who remembered too much. Someone who didn't want peace. They activated a hidden weapon. Not made of metal, but memory. False memory. A weapon to twist the truth and shatter the Remembrance Accord from within. Because if humanity had learned to use truth as a weapon, then others had learned to forge lies just as sharp. And the war for memory was just beginning. The galaxy had begun to change. Truth had become a currency. Memory, both real and raw, was humanity's greatest weapon. Each broadcast from Earth wasn't a threat. It was a mirror held up to the galaxy's past, and species everywhere began to see what they had done, but deep in the ruins of the once feared Kravari Syndicate. Something stirred, a secret archive, a forged memory, a like airfully built to look like truth, and the one who held it wanted revenge. His name was Rezek Vol. Once a commander of the Kravari Navy, now a phantom in the shadows, he had watched his empire fall, not to human weapons, not to invasions, but to guilt. His people had surrendered, his soldiers had turned, and all because Earth showed them the truth. But Rezek didn't believe in truth. He believed in control. And if Earth's weapon was memory, he would use false memory to strike back in a secret transmission. Rezek sent his masterpiece to the Galactic Council, recovered human archives, suppressed Earth war crimes, proof they're manipulating history. It was fake, expertly faked. Video of humans bombing peaceful alien worlds, violating treaties, torturing prisoners. It looked real, even felt real, And worst of all, it spread fast. The media exploded. Channels that had praised Earth began to turn. Have we been fooled? Is Earth the villain hiding behind tragedy? Were the memory drops just propaganda? In less than 48 hours, support for the Remembrance Accord collapsed in over 15 systems. Ambassador Cole was called a manipulator. Lyra Voss was called a traitor. And Earth was suddenly alone. Again, back on Earth, in the underground city of Ethonkor, the Memory Council met in silence. Cole looked tired. Lyra was furious. "They believe this garbage?" she asked. "It's too clean," Cole replied. "Too convenient." "It's a lie," she snapped. "And they're buying it." "They bought comfort," he said. "Now they're afraid truth hurts too much." Lyra slammed her hand on the table. "We can prove it's fake." "We can," Cole nodded. "But will they care?" Outside, protests formed near Earth's orbiting welcome stations. Ships once carrying allies now hovered with weapons armed. Some demanded justice, others demanded answers, and a few demanded war. But Earth didn't panic. They did what they always did. They remembered. The next memory drop wasn't flashy. It didn't show war. It showed recovery. A human engineer helping a Tharnian child rebuild her school after her city was destroyed. By crossfire, a doctor from Earth treating alien refugees for chemical burns caused by council weapons. A small funeral in the middle of a burned forest, with humans and aliens standing together. And the final message: we don't ask for forgiveness. We only ask that you remember completely, the good, the bad, all of it. Some still doubted, but many started thinking again. Some even started asking questions. Why were the leaked crimes never seen before? Why was the metadata identical across unrelated files? Why was every timestamp off by exactly 7 minutes? An AI analyst on Varix Prime uncovered the truth. The forgeries were generated from simulations, not real footage. Voices were cloned. Explosions were looped. Background stars didn't match any real location. Earth was innocent, and Rezik volume was exposed. But the damage had been done. The remembrance accord was shattered. Trust was bleeding, and fear had returned. Still, Earth didn't retaliate. They didn't demand punishment. They sent out one more message. It wasn't a video. It wasn't a speech. It was a key. A data key containing every human memory archive from the war. Unedited, raw, open-source. We have nothing to hide, the message said. The galaxy paused. People downloaded the key, watched the horrors, watched the grief, but also saw the compassion, the rebuilding, the quiet strength of a species that had every reason to burn the galaxy down, but chose not to. Lyra stood before a divided galactic council one last time. This time, there were no accusations, just a question. Are we afraid of the truth, or are we afraid of what it reveals about ourselves? No one answered, but one by one. Systems began rejoining the Accord, not because they were forced to, but because they knew humanity remembered everything. And now, so would they, far away. Rezik Vol's last hideout was breached, but when the soldiers arrived, he was gone. In his place was a single datapad on it. Truth is a blade, and Earth taught us how to sharpen it. But I made mine poisoned. Cole watched the broadcast with heavy eyes. We've survived another war, he said. Lyra nodded. A war of belief. He turned to her. We can't win those with weapons. No, she said softly, only with memory. And somewhere, beyond the stars, a voice whispered into the void. We will not forget. We will not be silent. We are humanity, and we remember. It was quiet, too quiet. Across the stars, the war of memory had ended, but the galaxy remained unsure of its future. Systems had rejoined the Remembrance Accord, but trust, once shattered, was slow to heal. Humanity, however, didn't stop. They kept sharing, they kept remembering, and the final memory drop was coming. Not a story of war, not of betrayal, but of what came after. On Earth, Ambassador Cole stood in a great white hall inside the rebuilt United Terran Assembly. Hundreds of delegates had gathered, some human, most alien, all listening. And in front of them, Lyra Voss stood with a final data crystal glowing in her palm. This is the last one, she said quietly. Everyone leaned in. The screen lit up the image. Showed a small settlement on an alien world once burned in the war. Now it was green, alive, full of laughter. A human boy ran alongside a Ralathi girl. They were racing, not for survival, but for fun. No bombs, no sirens, just joy. And then the scene shifted. A Kravari elder placing her family's war helmet in a museum on Earth. The label read, "So we never forget what we did, and what we chose to become." Another scene. A soldier who once pulled the trigger, now building homes. He hammered the wood slowly, whispering to himself, forgiveness isn't given, it's built, like this. And finally, a view of Earth from orbit. Thousands of ships, all species, no guns, just visitors, coming not to conquer, but to learn. Back in the hall, Lyra looked out at the crowd. There is no justice without memory, she said, no peace without pain, and no future without truth. She paused, and then added, but there is something even more powerful than memory. Everyone waited. Continuation. For the first time since the war began, Earth announced something new. A joint interstellar academy, built on Earth's soil to be co-governed by all Accord members. Its mission, not to forget the past, but to teach how not to repeat it. Some called it idealistic. Others called it dangerous. But most called it hope. Meanwhile, in the outer system colonies, former enemies began to work side by side. Not all succeeded, some still hated, some still feared, but they tried, and for Earth, that was enough. Rezek Volume, the mastermind of the Great Lie, had disappeared, but remnants of his network still operated in the dark. Propaganda still leaked. Hatred still tried to rise. But now, something was different. For every lie, they whispered. Earth had 10 truths louder, and the galaxy was listening. On the moon station, Solace Watch, a monument was completed. A towering sculpture, half metal, half stone-shaped like an open hand. Inscribed in every major galactic language were the same words. We were patient. We were broken, but we rose, and we remember. Under it stood a small fire. Eternal. UNSHIELDED. Fed only by oxygen. A symbol of the moment Earth's patience finally snapped, and the light that came after, back on Earth. A council gathered around Lyra and Cole. The war is over, one said. No, Cole corrected softly. The cycle is over. And what do we do now? Asked another. Lyra smiled. We build a galaxy where no species ever has to snap. And so they did. Ships that once bombed each other now traded food and medicine. Worlds that once hid behind shields now opened their skies and memory. Once used as a weapon became something else. A guide, a warning, a light. On the edge of known space, a young alien child sat beside an old human veteran. The child asked, "Why didn't you destroy us when you had the chance?" The veteran looked at the stars and whispered, "Because we were meant to show a different way. Because our strength was never in our weapons. It was in our ability to wait. Until you were ready to see." The child blinked. "But how did you know we would change?" The old man smiled. "We didn't." He stood up. "We just refused to forget." And in that moment, across the stars, something shifted. The galaxy no longer feared Earth's rage. They respected Earth's memory, because patience is powerful, but memory is eternal. End of series.